Hello and welcome to the Chemistry Made Simple podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Macario, and this is a short episode to talk about electron affinity. So to do that, we're going to start by defining electron affinity. Electron affinity is the standard enthalpy change when 1 mole of gaseous atoms is converted into 1 mole of gaseous ions with a 1 negative charge each. So the process going on there is that 1 electron is added to each atom in a mole of gaseous atoms of an element. And technically speaking, this is the first electron affinity. It's the addition of the first electron to an atom. Again, we should note that this is a standard enthalpy change, so the data all refers to the process being carried out at 298 Kelvin and at 100 kilopascals pressure. The symbol is ΔH with an EA for electron affinity. And as we said, this is the first electron affinity, and that implies that there are second and even subsequent electron affinities, which there are. So the second electron affinity, when 1 mole of gaseous 1 minus ions is converted into 1 mole of gaseous 2 minus ions. In other words, a further electron is added to each of those gaseous 1 minus ions. When would we use this? Well, it's not something you would be able to do in isolation in a lab. But what we do with that data is we use it as part of our calculations when we're constructing a Hess cycle. And as I've said before, we're going to tie all this up with an episode on Hess cycles coming soon. So if you have any questions on what we've talked about today, please do come over to our Patreon community at patreon.com/chemistrymadesimple. Please ask your question there. I'll answer it there too. I'll be very happy to. Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you found it useful, and if you have had value from it, do consider visiting our Patreon community at patreon.com/chemistrymadesimple, where you'll be able to ask deeper questions about this topic and get more support for your studies too. So I look forward to speaking to you again in the next episode, and until then, do look after yourself and goodbye.